Hello and welcome back to my channel, and compliments of the new year as well. So I hope you are kept. I hope you are still alive and having new goals. So today we'll just be focused on the future of junior developers in South Africa. So within the South African context, we'll just be looking at the junior developers. So this speaks to people who want to enter into the market and those who just got into the market. You know, you may be an intern, you may be a graduate and in a graduate program or so, or you may be just somebody who is writing projects and with the hope and belief that you'll enter into the market, and that is possible, by the way. So those are the people that I'm speaking to. So this video is addressing that niche of people. So before we delve deep into the nitty-gritties, deep into the details of what junior developers, the future, or how things are, or the outlook of the future of junior developers, let us speak to the South African economy, the South African market, the South African economy with the context or with the focus on the IT space. So there's a bit of a contradiction. That is what I have observed. Because now you hear that there's a shortage of software engineers in South Africa, but yet you have thousands of graduates that are not able to get into the job market, that are not able to get into the software development phase. So there's skills shortage, but at the same time, there's lots of graduates that are not able to enter into the field. So there's that contradiction which is there. The question is why? Why is that the case? It's because companies are looking for somebody who can add value very quickly. So somebody who can add value very quickly. Now, what does that mean? So it means that most of the junior developers, or most of the aspiring developers, they have strong theoretical background. Yes, and yet they have weak practical exposure and also little understanding of real systems. So now that is what the issue is, according to what I have personally observed. Now, companies are looking for somebody today. They are looking for somebody who will, add value very quickly. And then there are some things that the company must sacrifice on. Like, companies have limited budgets. Most companies have very limited budgets, especially around this time. So they run complex and yet critical systems. So they need somebody who's going to hit the ground running. So they cannot afford to, have long learning curves. So the times of having 6 months of watching Udemy and YouTube videos, I think it has come to an end because companies cannot afford that anymore. So they hire fewer junior developers. I'm not saying they don't hire juniors, they still hire juniors. Even this morning I checked, there's some jobs for junior developers, and what they require is somebody who can add value, somebody who is expect. So they hire junior developers and expect more from them. So it's not just about having some certificates, but there's more to it. Now the question is, what has changed throughout the years? So I've seen two major shifts. One is the, artificial intelligence, in particular the generative AI. I mean, you have seen it; it's all over, and there's a lot of hype around it. I spoke about that in my previous video. So generative AI can do basic things like generating basic code. Number one, it can do fix syntax errors very quickly. It's not a problem. And then it can write documentation, which most of the developers don't like doing, by the way, writing of documentation. And it's very important. It's critical for you to document everything that you're doing in a normal language that anyone can understand. Now remember, AI, generative AI, does not replace engineers or developers. It replaces low-value work. So it does not replace developers, but it's more of a companion that does some low-level work. So junior developers, so these are the tips. The junior developers should understand systems. So you must be able to understand systems, and also you must be able to read other people's code. You must be able to read and understand, get into their thinking. What were they thinking? What was their thought process? What was the actual goal? That is a skill, by the way. And it's a skill that is required right now, because if you're using generative AI tools, they will spit code and you need to understand what it was trying to do. Very, very important. Now, the next thing is problem solving. You need to have problem solving skills. That's quite critical. Remember the solve for X. Yes. So solve for X is what is required. You need to be able to think and be able to solve problems. And also you need to explain your technical decisions clearly. So meaning that you have to communicate clearly. All right. Trust me, even the big tech companies, they need somebody who can be able to communicate clearly. So personally, as I was going through the AWS interview, I had to explain every little line of code that I was writing. So you need to be able to communicate clearly your technical decisions. Now, the second thing is competition. So I've realized that there's a lot of competition. So remember, there's boot camps, there's people without computer science degrees, there's a lot of people who actually want to enter into the market because it was not saturated. I don't know about now, but previously it was not saturated. And a lot of people switched over to this field. And I think it's still going to grow the way I see things, because everything is going digital. And even though the introduction of AI is there, but I think that there'll still be more to do in the technical space, in the IT space. So there will still be a need for skills. Now, the average skills nowadays is no longer enough. You no longer stand out with just a degree or being able to write one line of code. No, you don't stand out anymore. So we need somebody who's going to add real value. So real value is what matters right now. So you can no longer rely on university material only. You can no longer chase certificates without building projects. Okay, and then you can no longer avoid responsibility and production systems, real production systems. You can no longer avoid that anymore. So you can no longer wait to be told what to do, what to learn. But what is required is what is the next problem? What is the next problem that I can solve, or that I should solve? That's what is required. So the industry no longer rewards potential alone, but it rewards initiative and ownership. So you have to take ownership. So people who take ownership, especially during stand-ups, they are being valued more. They add more value, as opposed to somebody who just writes code and keeps quiet. So it's about what problem can I solve, basically. That's what I'm trying to get to. Now, going to the last part, what is my advice in terms of the practical things that people should do, the portfolios, as people usually call them. So focus on one backend language. So backend language is a C#, it's a Java, it's a Node.js, etc., etc. So Python. So focus on a language, one backend language that can allow you to at least write something that will allow you to have a portfolio. So, and also focus on at least one front-end framework. Just focus on at least one front-end framework, and that should allow you, maybe Angular or React JS. So at least one that can allow you to write a portfolio. And then also in your backend, make sure that you have the connection to the database, which can allow you to write simple queries, just simple queries. And then the other thing is Git. You need to understand Git, which is the management for software, the management tool for software. You need to understand Git. That is very critical. And you need to also understand the deployment, CI/CD, continuous integration, continuous development. You need to understand that. And also, you need to understand the cloud fundamentals, just the fundamentals of cloud computing. You need to understand that as well. So build things that actually run. Don't just build things, but build things that actually run. And learn to explain your thinking. That's very, very, very critical. So in closing, the future belongs to junior engineers who think like professionals, professionals, and not students who are waiting to be trained. So I hope this has been helpful to you. Ciao, ciao.